Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today I am here to rank John Carpenter's top 10 films of all time with my new Director Spotlight series. So go ahead and pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so this is going to be episode 1 in an ongoing series where I take a look at different directors and I kind of spotlight them and rank what I believe are their top 10 films of all time that they have done. And today we are looking at John Carpenter, master of horror. One of my favorites, and I've always liked Carpenter movies, but he wasn't my favorite like he was a lot of people's growing up. Like for me, don't get me wrong, I liked a lot of his movies, and a couple have been all-time favorites for me, but I wasn't like just a huge Carpenter guy, and the older I've gotten, the more I have liked John Carpenter. I've always been a Stephen King book guy, and of course, I love the atmosphere of a lot of his movies. If you guys have seen those videos, you know that. Wes Craven, I was always into Nightmare on Elm Street, but I didn't go for a specific horror director. But as I got older and I became a writer and director myself, that changed. And, it's like with Paul Verhoeven. I realized at one point I like this movie and this movie and this movie, and they were all Verhoeven movies. I was like, yeah, I like Paul Verhoeven. But today it's John Carpenter, and there's not very many misses for him on his slate as far as I'm concerned when you really look at it. And so the top 10 is hard, and it is probably not going to match everyone else's because I look at films so differently as someone who's not just a huge fan, because I am a huge friggin' fan of physical media, movies, pop culture. I am just a massive fan. But I've also spent decades now, a couple of them, better part of 2 of them or so, writing horror stories, directing and producing horror stories, casting horror films, and finding a way to do it with an independent spirit, the way John Carpenter had to do early on. So I look at them a little bit different. So this ranking is probably going to be a little bit different. But I know you came here for the ranking on this spotlight. So John Carpenter, of course, Halloween wasn't the first thing that he did, but maybe the thing that he's the most famous for. It doesn't mean it's number 1 on my list, but we will have to see when we get there. Let's start at number 10. Now, most of these I have on physical media. There are 1 or 2 that I don't. And number 10 is one that I do not have. And to be honest with you, I just kind of been waiting because I feel like Scream Factory is about to announce a 4K of this at any point in time. I might be wrong, but they've done the Blu-ray with a slipcover. And if I'm wrong and it doesn't come out soon, I'll bite the bullet and buy that on eBay. I am talking about In the Mouth of Madness, starring Sam Neill. This is another one of those with that atmosphere and sort of like a mystery and a twist and engrossing and all that kind of stuff that I really, really love. Over time, though, I've kind of wondered, I definitely love that vibe, but sometimes I kind of wonder, I'm like, is it the vibe I love and Sam Neill's performance that I love more than the actual whole movie itself? Although I really like the movie. I love the movie. It's on my top 10 here for John Carpenter. But I'm wondering if those things cause this, a bias for me. Sam Neill's performance is ridiculously good. The vibe that I kind of dig into is it got a very Lovecraft, a little bit of Lovecraft thing going on within the Mouth of Madness too. Very twisted and scary movie though. But I wonder if some of those things bias me into liking it more. But I just think it's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a while. Hoping that we might actually get that announced on 4K coming here soon from Scream Factory. If not, I'll dig it out on eBay and bite the bullet and buy the Blu-ray with the slip. But In the Mouth of Madness comes in for me at number 10 on John Carpenter's top 10 all-time films. So that's number 10, moving right along to number 9, and this one's probably going to surprise some of you. But I really like this movie. As a matter of fact, it's another one you could see on my favorite all-time vampire movie list when I get around to doing that one. And I am talking about John Carpenter's Vampires. Excuse me, but James Woods in this movie is basically a violent, scary, aggressive vampire Western. That's what this is. James Woods is essentially a heroic outlaw gunslinger for the Catholic Church who hunts vampires. And I almost called him Terry Silver. Thomas Ian Griffith. He's Terry Silver in The Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. He plays a big, menacing vampire. Valak. I think it's Valak, right? Dude, it's violent. James Woods, like, he works for the Catholic Church as a slayer, basically, of vampires. And he's an outlaw. And he does things the outlaw way. And he basically is Billy the Kid with the regulators out there tracking down vampires. And it's in, like, the Southwest. It has just a total Western vibe to it. It is violent. The vampires are mean, aggressive, scary. You believe this guy is hunting you. He used to scare the shit out of me, like as a vampire, like the way he just kept coming for you. I really like this movie. I think it's underrated. A lot of people don't like this movie and they dump on it. I am in the exact opposite group. I think this is an excellent movie and one of my favorite vampire films. It comes in for me at number 9 for John Carpenter's all-time top 10 vampires. I need a 4K of this badly. Scream Factory or whoever, I need a 4K. All right. Coming up on number 8 is one that I have a recent 4K of by Studio Canal. It is one of the, if you guys can kind of see back here, I don't know what you can see. I have, like, one of my big things is to collect all of the Scream Factory, like, black box with the vinyl records of John Carpenter's releases. And Prince of Darkness is one of only 2 that I am still missing. I recently ordered Village of the Damned, and it has it. But I picked up, for right now, until I find one at a price that I'm willing to pay, I picked up the Studio Canal 4K of this very scary John Carpenter movie, and I am talking about Prince of Darkness. You got Donald Pleasance in there. This movie has a little bit, to me, of Cronenberg flavor into it, where the devil is basically a green liquid that the Catholic Church has been the devil. Imagine the Bible where it says Satan is in his prison, and at the end of 2,000 years, he'll be loosed from his prison. If the prison was controlled by the Catholic Church and Satan was converted to this green liquid energy, and it's time for him to be loosed out of his prison, and they've got to try to contain him in. So this poor group of college kids get recruited by the priest here and their teacher, the priest played by Donald Pleasance, to come to this church and try to figure out what's going on, figure out a way to stop it. And of course, things degrade from there. And it's super scary. Like, if you really stop and think about this movie, it's super scary. And I mean, this 4K by Studio Canal is awesome, but I really want the 4K from Scream Factory just to complete my set. It says, before man walked the earth, it slept for centuries. It is evil. It is real. It is awakening. This is also, like, supposedly like the 3rd film in Carpenter's apocalyptic or Armageddon series. But that's kind of like a loosely, like, identified trilogy. But Prince of Darkness, for me, First time watching it in a long time here recently. The 4K is awesome, but comes in at number 8 for me on John Carpenter's top 10 all-time Prince of Darkness. All right, number 8, or 7, excuse me, might surprise you that it's this low. Kind of surprised me too, to be honest with you. But when I started going through the movies and really like doing my research and everything too, and just thinking about how I felt about them and different things, there were others that I just had to put higher. And coming in at number 7 on my list is Big Trouble in Little China. I actually love this Scream Factory artwork here. I actually just got this Blu-ray recently. I just had this on DVD. I got this Blu-ray. This is something we also desperately need in a 4K, big time. But now, because this was under the Disney umbrella, so now I guess it would have to come from Sony, which may be the reason why this is going out of print at Scream Factory after 5 years, and they're not really going to make more of the Blu-ray, and they have it in their going out of print section. But I mean, this is, you know, Carpenter and Kurt Russell working together again. It's got sci-fi elements, horror elements, comedy elements. It's kind of a basket case of a movie in a lot of ways. And I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, it's fun, but like sometimes it's kind of like too crazy for me to focus on. It's almost like the movie has a little bit of ADD or something, which is fine. And I have a lot of fun. This is one of the two. So I'm missing the Prince of Darkness, and I'm missing the old ass out of print big black box with the vinyl and the poster and all that stuff that came from Scream Factory with Big Trouble in Little China from several years ago. And the couple that I found on eBay going for like $200. I'm not willing to pay that. I'm hoping a 4K comes out, but it's that one in Prince of Darkness, and my set is complete. So eventually I may bite it and get it because I'm a completist when it comes to those, and I love Carpenter. So Big Trouble in Little China, a lot of fun. Not really horror, not really action, not really sci-fi, not really comedy, but also all of those things. Complete with Blue Lightning, and pretty much Raiden is in this movie. If you know Mortal Kombat, I always think that's Raiden. That's where they got the idea for Raiden. But Big Trouble in Little China comes in at number 7 on my list. Now, number 6 is the only other one I don't have, and that's just because I haven't found the 4K that I want to buy at the right price yet. If I'm going to get a steelbook or whatever. And that is Christine, which is John Carpenter doing a Stephen King story. That's friggin' awesome. And I don't care how you feel about Christine, just the show me scene where Christine puts herself back together is worth the entire movie. But I find Christine like genuinely creepy and scary, and it has a lot of atmosphere to it too. And the way that the main character gets basically, I don't know, like put under the spell of the demon possessed car, because the car is possessed by a demon. Make no mistake about it. It is possessed by a demon that is also possessive of the owner, but also drives the owner crazy and is murderous and evil and everything. And I love the movie. Like honestly, if there weren't other movies on here, it gets hard to sort out Carpenter because you love a lot of his movies for different reasons. But Christine, like I said, is Carpenter telling a Stephen King story, and it is well done. I love Christine. I really want to get the 4K of that. I just got to decide which one I'm getting. But right now, Christine comes in at number 6 on my all-time top 10 for John Carpenter. That leaves us with the top 5 Carpenter films coming right up. Had to have a little drink here because this one was hard work. I was beating myself up over it. All right. Number 5. Here we go. I am talking about Escape from New York. All right. So you could say, well, Escape from New York. Some people are going to think it should be higher. Some people think it'd be lower. Definitely, I think more people think it should be higher. I really love this movie. I always crack up that it's set in 1997. Like, I feel so old, man. But I love Kurt Russell. Snake Plissken is an absolute icon. You've got Adrienne Barbeau. This movie is, I don't know. I mean, it has a little, it's got a little survival horror to it. It's not really a horror movie, really. It definitely has action to it and sci-fi elements to it a little bit. But it almost reminds me of, like, if the people were zombies in Escape from New York, it would remind me of Resident Evil. Like, that's, and I know it came before Resident Evil. I know that. But, like, that's the kind of feeling I get watching it. Because I feel like he's in just as much danger as if they were monsters. And everything that he has to go through just to get back out of New York, and the world and the government is screwed up. How can we not identify with that? Hopefully it doesn't come to this ever. But Escape from New York comes in my top 5. This 4K from Scream Factory is fantastic. I absolutely love it, and I love this box that it comes in. I mean, how cool is that? That is so cool. Very, very cool. And then, of course, it has the vinyl record with it. And, that can't just be a plain record. It's got to have some flair to it, too. So, very, very cool. Escape from New York coming in at top 5 for me. That leaves 4 films from John Carpenter. And coming in at number 4 is one that was on my recent creepy atmosphere, top 10 creepy atmosphere all-time movies, especially those that involve small town terror, is The Fog. And, I mean, this is like your classic ghost story. And look, thank you, Fuzz. You got Tom Atkins slinging dick around in here from the very beginning, picks up Jamie Lee Curtis and puts it down. And then the monsters come to town in the fog to exact revenge. You got the isolated town. You got one of my favorite little horror tropes, which is the late night FM DJ kind of narrating with that late night sound that's going to bring you down. that whole vibe that just adds to it. And they're in this town and there's no escape, and the monsters are coming in for revenge, and the fog, everything's foggy. The atmosphere is just so great. Great atmospheric ghost story. On another day, it could be higher than this. It's just, I keep going back and forth. But The Fog, classic ghost story for me. John Carpenter at his finest. Number 4 on my list all time, The Fog. I take a deep breath there, scratch my nose. Because this is like stressing me out a little bit. All right, top 3 here. Number 3 on my list, I'm going to tell you for a long time. And I mean a long time. Number 3 was my favorite John Carpenter movie ever. Even when I was younger. I won't say a little kid, but when I was much younger. This was my favorite film. And I kind of go back and forth on it, and I'll have some stories here lately, here in a few minutes, but it's only recently that it is changed. And shockingly so, but it's at number 3 right now. And I am here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I am all out of bubblegum. I am talking about They Live coming in here at number 3. This is scary, like, pertinent to society now. Like, this was so ahead of its time. like with the consume, the subliminal messages, they live, we sleep. There's a controlling class that is, bettering themselves at the expense of us all. And they're horrific people underneath. They're not even people, they're monsters. And it takes special people to see. It is way too pertinent, like way too pertinent. The political and like social commentary on here, but it's like so in your face, but it's so blends with the horror that you don't feel preached to. And that is a lost freaking art. And Carpenter did it very well with They Live. Rowdy Piper and David Keith. Is it David Keith or Keith David? I get Keith David and David Keith mixed back and forth all the time. But they have one of the longest fight scenes, I think, ever in cinema in this movie. And that when he puts on the glasses and you hear the one, we have one who sees. Like, are you one who sees, or are you asleep? You sleep and they live, or are you really living? Are you paying attention to what's going on? It is so dark under there. Carpenter had his finger on the pulse that has continued, like it is way far ahead of its time and way too pertinent, and that makes it even more scary to me. Hell of a story. I love Rowdy Piper in this movie. Talk about losing somebody way too soon. Piper is great for this role because he's just an everyman. So very, very good movie. This was my favorite Carpenter film for a long time. But right now, it comes in at number 3. All right, here we go. We're about to get the fighting to really start because we've got 2 films left. And I know a lot of you are sitting out there thinking, oh shit, it's got to be this one, it's got to be that one. How has he not said this one yet? How's he not said that one yet? Well, coming in at number 2, and I have several versions of this one. But this is just one I picked because this is fun to look at, and I haven't pulled it out in a while. But I'm talking about his classic, Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween. And I pulled out the old DVD here with everything is so reflective, but like this is all like shiny and reflective on this old DVD cover here, and I just think it looks so cool. So I pulled out the DVD. Of course, I've got the Scream Factory 4K. But, I mean, yes, in a lot of ways, it gave birth to the modern slasher. Michael Myers is an icon of icons. He is the boogeyman. Jamie Lee Curtis as a final girl. It launched her to final girl stardom. There's not a lot I can say about Halloween that haven't been said. It was made as a low budget film to the point where they were having to gather up the old fall leaves and reuse them because they were filming like in the springtime in Pasadena and they didn't have any money for a bunch of leaves, so they're having to sweep them back up and reuse them. And I know that indie spirit from being an indie filmmaker and an indie horror filmmaker, and it's so close to me. And while like this is one of my favorite films of all time, I just recently, a few months ago, did a top 25, or it was probably only 6 weeks ago, 2 months maybe. I did a top 25 all time of my favorite movies. And this is like in the top 10, I believe. And I said movies can change, move up and down. And this has moved up and down a little bit over time. But there was a movie I didn't even have in my top 25 that is coming next, that is number 1 here, that may be now from out of my top 25 films of all time. It may be in my top 10 now of all time. And it's one that I skipped over watching a lot. I remember my dad watching it a lot, and I just never would sit and pay attention to it all. And it's so weird because it has that atmosphere that I love, the creepy mystery and deep spiraling in on itself horror mystery that's unfolding. And I don't know why. It just never clicked until a couple of months ago. And I got the 4K, and I think it's the number 1 film that John Carpenter has ever done. I'm talking about The Thing. Also, this may be, and I'm going to do a best 4Ks of all time, what I consider the best 4Ks of all time that are in my collection, like as far as transfer quality. I'm going to do that list here soon, and I can promise you a little spoiler, this one's going to be on it. This may be one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen. And it doesn't even have Dolby Vision, but it may be one of the best 4Ks I have ever seen. Period. It is that good. And I don't know what it is. I remember talking to my dad about this movie, and he got me to watch so many movies. But this is one I just would not sit and watch all of. I saw bits and pieces of it millions of times. I mean, I had obviously seen it all the way through, but I just never really, it never sunk in until like a couple of months ago. And I watched this movie on 4K, and I immediately watched it again. And when it was done, I put it on a third time and went to sleep by it. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. It may not be his most famous movie. Halloween may get the nod for his most famous movie and launching all these things and iconic or whatever. The Thing, I'm going to argue, is his best movie. Period. The end. Number one. The Thing. Kurt Russell. Like, now I am 100% like a Thing fanboy. Like, anything I can get, Thing memorabilia, Thing shirt, Thing hat, all the different copies of The Thing that I can find. I have already bought a second copy here, the Studio Canal 4K. I'm going to watch that because it's a different transfer and take a look at that. I don't know if the if this one has Dolby Vision either. No, it doesn't look like it has Dolby Vision either. It's got Dolby Audio, but it's supposed to be a different transfer. And I picked that up. So, I mean, anything that I can get that is The Thing, I could write you a academic dissertation on this movie now. Seriously went from not even in my top 25 movies of all time, probably in my top 50. Like, I'd watched enough for that. It just never resonated the same way it does now. Now, I don't know what it is. From a filmmaking I think it's the first time that I have really sat and watched it closely since I became a filmmaker, which is 2 decades ago. And it just resonated with me so hard. It is as close to a perfect horror film that I think you can get. I mean, it is. And this 4K makes it even more beautiful to watch. This is John Carpenter's best movie. Fight me, argue with me, whatever you want to do. You can tell me I'm wrong, but you better bring a reason why. Because, yes, you can say, well, it's a remake. It is a retelling. It's a retelling. It is a remake. Some people are like, no, it's not a remake. It's completely different. It's still a retelling of The Thing from another planet. But I don't care. In the ending, the way people are still fighting and arguing about the ending all these years later, it's perfect. It is perfect. It is a perfect movie. There is the practical effects are amazing. The whole suspense, the otherworldly horror, got a little Lovecraft in there too, to me, with the way the horror is and the makeup effects. This thing is chocked full of extra features, so anything you ever want to know about the movie, it's his best movie. Fight me. And I can't think of a better way to end a spotlight at Carpenter than talking about The Thing, MacReady. Oh, man. Look, I mean, this might have tipped you off the whole time. I was hoping it would maybe mislead you a little bit. But I just had to rep it because it has rocketed for me. I am a fan in every way of this movie. John Carpenter. Yeah, I don't have Assault on Precinct 13 in here. It's a good movie. I enjoy Assault on Precinct 13. It's basically like in some ways reminds me of like Night of the Living Dead. And I actually enjoy Escape from LA. I just feel like it's kind of like a thumbing tongue-in-cheek sequel there. And there are later Carpenter movies where they weren't as great. The Ward, I can't back him on that one a whole lot. There are some where it felt like he phoned it in maybe a little bit more, but not in this top 10. Not in this top 10. This is a great top 10. I believe this is the top 10 ranking, the definitive ranking from my perspective, from all of my experience and me as a fan. This is my top 10 in this spotlight look at John Carpenter. But you have your say. Let me know in the comments. Did I get this wrong? Should Halloween be number one above all things? I don't agree with that. What do you think of They Live being that high? Let me know your thoughts. Give me your top 5, top 10. Give me your rankings. What do you think? What other directors would you like to see me take a look at and rank their top 10 movies from my perspective? And I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe. It really does help me out. You can consider joining the channel here on YouTube or my Patreon. The links and infos and the button to that's below. Just a couple dollars a month. You get your name on here. You get the shout outs. You get the behind the scenes look at my movies, my filmmaking, gag reels, live streams, free giveaways, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to fire up a live stream here for the whole channel pretty soon and do another little just fun giveaway. I like to do a giveaway during live streams. It's fun. But until next time, this is Chase with AV Pop Culture saying, be kind, rewind like always. And I'll see you real soon. The Thing is number one. Oh yeah, it's number one. I love Halloween, but The Thing is number one. Bye-bye. Shit. Bye now.